Today is Friday, June 18th. What to know about two key decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court. One pitted religion against LGBTQ rights. The other was about the future of Obamacare. Also, COVID-19 might be slowing down, but another respiratory illness is now on the rise in the U.S. Plus, Spotify's new rival to the Clubhouse app, top athletes taking themselves out of competition, and how much people are spending on Father's Day this year. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in about 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Lacey Evans, filling in for Erica Mandy during her maternity leave. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. Supreme Court handed down two highly anticipated decisions this week. The first keeps the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, intact. Texas and 20 other Republican-led states tried to strike down the law. They pointed to when Congress got rid of the so-called individual mandate that required most people have health insurance or pay a penalty. Republicans argued if that part of the law is invalid, then so is the rest of it. However, most of the Supreme Court justices disagreed. The decision came down 7-2. This was the third time the court has preserved Obamacare. The White House says about 31 million people have health coverage now just because of that law. Remember, it also bans insurers from denying coverage or charging more to people with existing health conditions. It also expands Medicaid coverage and allows young adults to stay on their parents' plan until they turn 26, along with hundreds of other provisions. And yesterday, President Biden tweeted, "It's all here to stay." However, Republicans in Congress say they're now looking into changes they can make through legislation. The other big Supreme Court decision this week was a unanimous one. The justices sided with the Philadelphia agency Catholic Social Services in a case over whether it could refuse foster children to go to same-sex couples. The city of Philadelphia stopped placing children in that agency altogether, saying the Catholic organization was violating anti-discrimination laws. But the Catholic charity sued, citing religious liberty granted by the First Amendment. Well, all the justices agreed. They say the agency can keep running the child welfare program in a way that doesn't violate its religious beliefs as long as it doesn't force those beliefs on anyone else. But they were careful to keep the opinion to this case only. So legal experts say they expect more cases like this that pit anti-discrimination laws against freedom of religion laws in the future. Today is a national holiday. As expected, President Biden signed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Juneteenth really falls on Saturday, so most federal employees are off today, the closest work weekday. Some states are giving employees the day off too, as are some major corporations like Apple, Nike, and Twitter. Remember, Juneteenth commemorates the day when the last enslaved Black people learned they were free. It was June 19th, 1865. Union soldiers made it all the way down to Galveston, Texas to bring the news. Now, 156 years later, Juneteenth is the 12th federal holiday in the U.S. In the future, if you get COVID-19, you might just have to take a pill to make it go away. At least that's what the U.S. government is betting on. The White House is investing more than $3 billion to help researchers develop such a drug and for manufacturers to make it. Several companies are already testing antiviral pills they hope will work, especially in the early stages of the virus. They want something patients can take at home, not in a hospital setting or under the supervision of doctors, kind of like how flu patients are often prescribed Tamiflu. And this new funding boost should speed up the process. So ideally, there's a drug like that available by the end of the year. The money is coming from the last COVID-19 relief package Congress passed and President Biden signed back in March. Officials are also hoping along the way researchers find treatments for other viruses too, like Ebola, West Nile, and dengue fever. So this could potentially help the world avoid future pandemics. To be continued. More of the world is probably opening up to Americans soon. The European Union agreed American tourists should be able to visit whether they've been vaccinated or not, and Americans shouldn't need to quarantine once they get there. The EU is expected to formalize those recommendations today. But keep in mind, the EU contains 27 individual European countries, and each one of them can set their own restrictions. So it's possible there will still be requirements in certain places, like tourists needing a negative COVID-19 test or a vaccination record. Expect to hear more about those specifics in the coming days. Separately, Japan just cleared the way for holding the Summer Olympics on schedule. Officials there decided the state of emergency in Tokyo and 8 other regions will be allowed to expire this Sunday. That's because COVID-19 cases have gone down by about 70% since the measure took effect in late April. However, there are still restrictions in place. And at this point, Olympic organizers are still expected to limit the number of Japanese spectators allowed at venues. All international fans are banned from attending the games. By the way, we're previewing the Olympics in tomorrow's special edition Saturday episode. We'll hear from the chief medical officer for Team USA Soccer and from an athlete who will be competing at the Olympics for the first time. Look for that episode tomorrow morning. More news is just ahead, but first, here's your main host, Erica Mandy, with a word about today's sponsor, Rothy's.
If you are still putting up with uncomfortable shoes, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to, thanks to Rothy's. So what makes Rothy's so good? Well, a lot of things, but their unique seamless design is insanely comfortable the moment you put them on. And I'm talking right out of the box. And it's not just me. Other real customers like Lisa L say, quote, "These shoes are like walking on clouds." And Julie A says, "There's no break-in period, no blisters, just pure comfort." And because I've partnered with Rothy's for a while now, I've also heard from many of you who have fallen in love with Rothy's as much as I have. We all know it's comfort alongside style and sustainability that make Rothy's our go-to favorite flats. For the sustainable part, they're made with materials like plastic water bottles. And for the style, well, they're always available in a variety of super cute shapes, styles, and colors, so you can find the perfect pair for you. So upgrade your closet with washable, sustainable, stylish shoes and bags from Rothy's. Head to rothys.com/newsworthy to find your new favorites today. That's ROTHYS, rothys.com/newsworthy.
The notorious murder hornets might be back in the U.S. The first one of the year was spotted dead in a town north of Seattle, Washington. It's possible that one was left over from last season, but either way, more are expected to come out next month. Remember, the so-called murder hornets are really Asian giant hornets. They are up to 2 inches long, or around the size of your thumb. They're known for killing honeybees and destroying their hives, and that's a big deal because the U.S. honeybee population is already declining. Fortunately, they don't usually go after humans or pets unless they are threatened. But when it does happen, it's dangerous. Their stinger is a lot longer and more toxic than a bee's, and it can leave a scar. So far this year, only the one has been reported, so officials aren't too worried just yet. But Washington is setting about 1,200 traps across the state just in case. Children's hospitals and pediatricians are seeing a big spike in a respiratory virus that's not COVID-19. It's called RSV, and it's usually most common in the fall and winter. However, this past season, rates were lower than usual as more kids stayed inside because of the pandemic. And now, more and more cases are popping up. So the CDC issued a warning about the uptick, saying it's tracking hundreds of new cases a week, especially in southern states. RSV spreads mainly through coughs and sneezes. Symptoms include fever, wheezing, runny nose, and a lack of appetite. But RSV can become severe in young children and older adults with chronic illnesses. There is no specific cure for RSV, but if a case gets bad enough, hospitals can treat the symptoms. Experts say it's important to watch for the signs and keep kids home and away from others if they're sick. Spotify is getting in on the live audio trend. The streaming service launched a new mobile app this week called Spotify Green Room. TechCrunch says it's similar to other live audio apps like Clubhouse and Twitter's Spaces. Speakers are featured at the top of the screen. The host can invite listeners to join in on conversations, and about 1,000 people can listen in at once. One difference is on Green Room, hosts can request a copy of the recording from Spotify and redistribute it as a podcast episode. It's available now on both Apple and Android devices. Users can download it for free. Several top athletes are taking themselves out of competition to focus on their health. For example, the third-ranked men's tennis player in the world, Rafael Nadal, announced he's not going to be competing at Wimbledon or the Olympics. Nadal said he's decided to take a break to allow his body to recuperate from recent competitions. Also this week, the second-ranked women's tennis star, Naomi Osaka, withdrew from Wimbledon too. Her agent released a statement saying she's going to be taking some personal time with friends and family. Remember, Osaka also withdrew from the French Open, citing mental health concerns. For now, she is still planning on going to the Olympics. This isn't just a tennis issue, though. In basketball, 8 NBA All-Stars have missed at least one postseason game this year with injuries. They include Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers and Sixers star Joel Embiid. Also, the Nets have had to do without Kyrie Irving and James Harden, and that's just to name a few. Many people, including Lakers superstar LeBron James, are blaming the NBA for rushing to start this season so soon after last year's bubble, not giving players much of a chance to rest. However, the league and the players' union did agree on this schedule, so there's no sign of it stopping now. This Sunday is Father's Day, and here in the U.S., shoppers are planning to shell out big bucks to celebrate Dad. The National Retail Federation's annual survey found Americans will spend more than $20 billion on Father's Day gifts and celebrations this year. That's the highest amount on record, and $3 billion more than last year. It averages out to about $174 per person. The survey found nearly half of people will treat the dads in their lives by taking them out for a special meal or planning other fun activities. Popular gifts include clothes, personal care items, tools, electronics, and sporting equipment. Most people also say they'll buy a greeting card. If you still need to get a gift, don't worry. We have links to some last-minute options you can check out in today's episode notes. That's it for the main news today, but now it's time for Feel Good Friday, where we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, this episode is brought to you by Ritual. Here's Erica again to explain what it is.
Ritual's prenatal vitamin is definitely part of my morning ritual. I take them every day without fail, and after the baby is born, I'll switch to their postnatal vitamin, and after that, I'll keep taking their women's multivitamin. I love that Ritual vitamins are scientifically developed to support different life stages. In fact, they're now available for women, men, and teens. And no matter who is taking them, we all deserve to know what we're putting in our bodies and why. And that's why I appreciate Ritual's transparent approach. They have a one-of-a-kind visible supply chain so you always know what nutrients you're taking and where they came from. And you will not find sugars, GMOs, major allergens, synthetic fillers, or artificial colorants. Plus, with Ritual, I never worry about running out. Ritual multivitamins are delivered every month with free shipping always. And you can start, snooze, or cancel your subscription anytime. And if you don't love Ritual within your first month, they'll even refund your first order. So get key nutrients with Ritual. And right now, Ritual is offering my listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Just visit ritual.com/newsworthy to start your ritual today. That's ritual.com/newsworthy.
Now back to Feel Good Friday. A hard-working Alabama teenager had an extra special graduation celebration thanks to some caring and quick-thinking coworkers. Timothy Harrison planned to work his regular shift at Waffle House on graduation day since he didn't have a ride to the venue and it was an hour away from his house. Well, when he showed up for work, the Waffle House managers and coworkers were shocked to see him, and they weren't about to let his big day go uncelebrated. Within hours, they had picked up a cap and gown, bought Harrison a new outfit from Target, and drove him to the venue. They couldn't come inside because of limited seating, but they waited in the parking lot so they could celebrate with him afterward. Harrison called it the best day of his life. But soon, things got even better. Faculty members at Lawson State Community College in Alabama saw Harrison's story on a local news channel. They offered him a full scholarship, which he accepted. Harrison now says he plans to study business and computer science. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with our special edition Saturday episode tomorrow. Then we'll have your next news roundup on Monday. Until then, have a great day.